What is the strangest dream you've ever had? Wet dream, gay sex with a coworker. I'm not gay. I keep thinking about the song Break My Stride when I look at this thread. Most recent. It is not the strangest, but yeah, maybe it is. I napped on my couch last week. COVID restrictions ended my job at the gym. I have a son deceased the 10th of October 17, and he regularly visits me via dreams or all out actual visions. It's weird and I've accepted it as a grieving mother's brain tries to cope. Last week's dream, I felt a hand cradle my head. Literally felt the pressure of a hand on my head. I woke up because my son was reaching for my hand and I went to clasp it. Only there was no hand. I woke up alone. Just like I was when I fell asleep. I can't explain it. It was beautiful, and I can't wait for my son to visit again. I've posted this before, I don't remember where. But, one time I had a dream I was in an underground labyrinth, and the walls were red and slimy. When I got to the very middle, this big 8 feet tall thing, that looked like a burn victim with no face, turned around to me, and spoke to me in my head and said, "You begged to be born. You hated it here." And I had this overwhelming feeling, that this was actually Satan, even though I've never really believed in such a thing. But it must read my mind, because the next thing it said was, "I have no need for such a formal name, for here I'm God." And then I woke up sweating, and I've never been freaked out more. When I was a kid I was having a nightmare, where I was in the middle of nowhere, kind of like Dormammu scene from Doctor Strange, and I had a plug pins in my hand and there was some demon or something telling me to put my hand into the socket in the wall. When I was a kid I had a lot of shitty nightmares, like when there was a monster eating everyone on the street in the city, and no one wanted to let me into their house. Or the one, where there were small monsters, like vampires, werewolves etc., chasing me, and at some point I simply couldn't run anymore, like even if I wanted to, I was stuck. They were so real, even 15 years later it gives me the chill. I was cock-blocked by my mom from smashing my editor-in-chief of my student newspaper. The thing is, I don't have any feelings for her, so it's weird that I was making out. I was experimenting with melatonin one time and trying my best to lucid dream. Anyway, I succeeded by waking up while still in the REM stage of sleep and then going back to bed. I got into the dream world, but then I couldn't get out of it as every time I woke up, I was still in the dream world. I don't remember much, but it happened like 5 times and felt like I was stuck there for hours. This is called false awakening as is insanely scary to experience. Just had a dream the other night that I purposely let a baby puppy drown in a pond. I love animals and the dream sent a chill up my back when I woke up. Jumped into a pool of cobras to make a Guinness record. I once had a dream that my school principal was hoarding dead babies. I have a bad feeling about him now, I still can't shake it out of my mind. Just pick a night and I'll recount you my nightmare. Here's my last written one on 4/22. I started as an aware amoeba or bacteria, I'm not really sure. I know that I could communicate with the other specks. There was going to be a large burst of energy. We all gathered and fused into a giant mass, and the energy erupted from the ground beneath us. Millions of years passed. When the corporeal mass we formed woke up, the world was different. We had been stuck inside some stone cube. We explored. We made friends. We found that everything in the world started with our mass, so we could communicate with almost everything. There was strife of some kind. Like we were fighting someone. We found these pterodactyl type creature and fused with them and called them out to be our mount. We had to go back to the cube for some reason. There were other cubes. They would destroy everything. We beat on one cube, and all the electrical energy on the planet powered off. Everything but us died out. We slept again. Hitler and I were dueling each other, and he ends up killing me. My sister forced me to watch horror movie. The weird part is that I'm in the movie. You guys dream? Sex with Big Chungus. My most memorable dream lately is more upsetting than strange. I was at a house with about 7 other generally unsavory characters. Some I recognized from various life experiences, some I didn't. Some people were doing drugs, but it wasn't exactly a party atmosphere, just a group of guys hanging out. The host had a dog. Everything was fairly normal. Then the cops showed up. It was chaos after that, and my memory of the dream is missing. How I got to my hiding spot outside. I was on the side of somebody's house, and they had a waist-high brick wall I was hiding behind. There was another guy from the house in the window well next to me, curled up in the fetal position. Then I heard some shouting in the street. Another guy from the house was in the street, and he was all fucked up on drugs. The dog from the house was running towards him, and he got scared thinking it was a police dog. He had a taser on him and tased the dog. I turned back around and saw the window well guy still in the fetal position, rocking back and forth and repeating "it's not real" over and over, and then I woke up. I can't remember. I think my brain doesn't want me to know what it's doing while I'm asleep. One time I had a dream where I was in hell and I was trying not to be noticed, but he found me. The second he found me out I realized this is a dream, and I summoned a horse with laser eyes to vaporize them. Alien abduction. Several times. Sleep paralysis. Several times. I had a stalker who followed me around the whole dream. I joined a group of girls and told them about my situation, and they let me stay with them. Then a prince came to visit and say I had to marry him. Or that dream of a chihuahua making a deal with the devil. IDK. Stuck in a McDonald's play structure during a zombie apocalypse. Well, I had 2 dreams that were linked, and it was super weird. See, I was watching a lot of Ghost Adventures, and one of the ambience scenes, the short clips they play before and after the commercial breaks, featured a silhouette being watched from a camera, who was twitching his neck and inching forward without moving his legs. I went to bed that night, and I dreamt that creature was in my doorway, twitching his neck to Kingdom Come. I was so scared that I woke up almost right away. The second time, though, is when it gets interesting. The same thing happens, but this time, I turned quickly onto my stomach, shielding my face, and a white light flashes before I wake up. From then on, I've never had that nightmare again. This man turned himself into a pickle. It was the funniest shit I've ever saw. I was trapped in a maze with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There was a cutaway scene to a dinner with Star Trek, TNG, mostly, characters at Starfleet headquarters. I'm a, mostly, straight female. I often have wet dreams about a lesbian succubus doing things to me in my sleep. And yes, I do finish eye roll. I can feel it. A few days after my grandma died, I had a dream where I woke up in my grandparents' house, and as I walked downstairs I saw my grandma peeling an orange. She always ate those in the morning, and as I walked towards her, a light at the giant window in front of her began getting brighter, and when I wanted to hug her I woke up. I cried myself to sleep that night. A girl got a hammerhead shark-shaped lollipop out of a vending machine at McDonald's. I said to myself in the dream, whoa, that's weird, I must be dreaming, and then proceeded to wake up. When I was little I had a dream that my house got raided by ants that could control you and everyone else if they spat on you, but if they spat on you again you'd be freed. So I then had to go to my neighbor's house while constantly getting spat on by the ants, and my mom or grandma was desperately pulling me up a hill that led to the doors of the neighbor's house. That's the weirdest dream I can recall. My cat opened her own waffle restaurant and I visited to tell her how proud I was. The whole interior was turquoise and the specialty of the restaurant was grenadine waffles. Flying over a vast landscape made completely of flesh, inside, not skin, landed on a high plateau. I could hear an argument between Larry King and Rosie O'Donnell coming from somewhere. I had this dream even I was like 10 or so. I was sitting at the computer on the second floor, while all out of nothing, a baby elephant appeared on top of the stairs to the third floor. It started descending really slowly, and every step it took sounded like a very deep sound. I ran downstairs to my sister and told her we needed to get out. We ran out to the street while the elephant continued to chase us. Slowly, with a loud noise with every step. We ran to the end of the street where there was a T-section in the road and hid on the house on the opposite end. The elephant came nearer and nearer with its distinctive sound. When it nearly reached us, all of a sudden, another, big, mommy elephant came flying in and told the smaller one to fly away with it. I was a big fan of Dumbo, so I guess that inspired my brain. That's the moment I woke up, but the thumping sound didn't stop. Drenched in sweat I tried to understand what that sound was. It was my dad, snoring really loud in the next room. Had a dream I was at a sumo match hyping up the Yokozuna, then Jimmy Rogers showed up and sung one of his country songs. I was vibing to it, then I was in a swamp surrounded by these exploding brains with spiders' legs, and I had a baseball bat I was going to hit them with, and I had a group of these African tribal guys with spears with me, and we were all working together to kill the brains. Next thing you know, Jimmy Rogers has me on the floor trying to choke me out, so I stick my thumbs into his eyes and his head explodes. All the African dudes laugh at it, then I run up a tree. My brain, good question. So I regularly dream about Hungry Jack's, Aussie Burger King, being an alien base of operation. It's like this ongoing narrative I live out in my dreams and often guest stars people from either my real life or fictional characters, the best of which was Richard Dean Anderson's MacGyver. I also have a reoccurring catfishing dream. Now catfishing in the context of this dream involves fishing in a lake by using a cat that is in a harness that is attached to a pulley system. The cat is then lowered into the water and it catches a fish using its paws. It then hugs the fish while I pull the rope that brings the cat and fish back to shore. Also, it's a different cat every time I have this dream. The other night I dreamed I rented an apartment in a Soviet-era building in Russia. Everything was old in the building decor and each room looked the same as the next. While I was looking through my unit I found a key to another apartment in the building, and when I went to that unit I found another key for another unit, and so on. While I was walking around the building I ran into Mikhail Gorbachev, who was coming in with some groceries, and we chatted a bit and made plans to have a drink later. Then I woke up, really confused about what it meant and why I dreamt it. I was lying in the back of a bus. Everything in my vision was multicolored and all I heard were quotes from the Magic School Bus echoing in my skull. Waking up from a dream, sitting up in bed, and saying that was a strange dream, then realize you are still dreaming, and wake up a second time. Needless to say I couldn't sleep anymore. It freaked me out. I boxed with a 5-foot-tall squirrel. After losing the battle, my grandma came in and finished it for me. I had this dream where I was at school and this blonde girl trying to kill me. After we jump in a portal to a parallel universe. After she killed me, the dream would restart killed with a knife my cousin, and then she forced me in the portal and set me on fire. It all ended when I jumped from the school roof. The worst part, it looked so real, the expression on my cousin's face, everything. I couldn't remember the girl's face, I remember everything else. The world being destroyed by storms and natural disasters. Earthquakes were happening everywhere. California and Florida became separate islands. Volcanoes decimated Hawaii. Europe slammed with blizzards, freezing everything in sight. And the oceans were polluted by tons of plastic and oil. The worst part of my dream is that hurricanes were forming in Lake Michigan and Lake Erie, destroying Michigan and New York altogether. About a year ago, I had a dream where I woke up in a room that was unknown, but it felt like it'd been there before. The room was all funky and was all warped and colorful. I sat on a small bed and looked around for a second, then this man walked it. He looked super weird. He was small, skinny, and kinda looked like a fucked up jester. For some reason I knew he was my dad. I don't talk to my dad, I barely know what he looks like. When I realized he was my dad, I asked what he was doing, but he just laughed and ran out a door. So I ran after him through about 10 rooms with him, because I felt the strong need to be with him. He just laughing the whole time. Slowly I started to lose sight of him till he was totally gone, and I was left in a odd room for a few seconds. Then the lights went out, and I woke up. It was fucking weird, and I hate my dad, so I DKY out the blue. I had a dream with him where I felt a strong need to be with him, or else I'd break down crying. I was fighting against half wolf half crab monsters in my school. I once had a dream which started by me being attacked by a large, mechanical-like bird. I managed to escape it by crawling through some rocks into a long set of tunnels, feeling like I had to escape something. All of the walls of each tunnel were different colors and patterns. When I touched my hand to the walls, the patterns would swirl and move around my hand, and the wall would almost melt or shift into a different form. After walking through the tunnels for a while, I found myself in a large empty supermarket. I knew I had to find something in it and then leave. As I was searching around, I felt like something was wrong and felt like the store was expanding. I realized that the more I moved and walked, the more the store would expand around me, thus making it impossible to leave, as the exit was endlessly far away. I just wandered around, feeling lost and hopeless, until I woke up. That dream definitely felt very real and almost psychedelic in a sense. I still remember all of the details over a year after I had it. Me and my friends was about to go smoking weed at a mountain that doesn't exist nearby a kindergarten close by my house. But my father was at the kindergarten, so we went a little further away. Suddenly, as we're smoking, a big skyscraper appeared. It wasn't weird in the dream, it was at night, but almost every room in the skyscraper was lit, and people were looking at us. Suddenly a snowplow rolls up, which I stole, and drove super fast with. It was snowy and dark and drove way too fast. All of a sudden I'm in Russia. I walk out of the snowplow, now fully naked and playing guitar, walking around having a good time. Met some people at the street, had a normal conversation about smokeless tobacco. So FKN random. I had a dream where I was tied to a chair in a dark room. A man slowly walked up to me holding a spoon and a can. He opened the van and said, "Open wide." I didn't know what it was, so I refused. He then reached and tried to force my mouth open. After a couple of minutes, he said, "If you don't eat these peaches, I'll shoot you." I looked at the spoon and saw that the peaches were green. They were clearly poisonous. I didn't want to, so he took out a gun. Just as he was about to shoot, Grimace came in and killed him. Then I woke up. The other night I had a dream that a friend of mine was at my house and we were playing Call of Duty 4 on the Xbox 360 only. In the game we were hunting shape-shifting reptilians. I don't believe in those conspiracy theories and don't think about them, but for some reason I just had a dream like that. On time I dreamt I was at a formal party with a friend, but then a xenomorph looking alien showed up and crashed the party and turned my friend into a log. Throughout the dream I then had to protect this log while running and hiding from the alien. I remember some people were trying to get me while others were helping me hide and stuff. The creepy thing was that every person in the dream was someone I knew in real life. Definitely the strangest thing that has happened to me in my dreams. This will be a fun thread if it blows up. All the highways and roads were replaced with water slides. Not very strange, but I can't think of a stranger one. My principal dressed as the McDonald's clown screaming at me from the kitchen. She had the Heath Ledger Joker smile thing going on. By far the creepiest shit I have dreamt.